our website, Conducting Business in the Tech Age. On behalf of our president, Ron Busby, our board, chambers, and our staff, thank you for attending. I'm Tiffany Meza-Heller with the U.S. Black Chambers Incorporated, affectionately known as the national voice of Black businesses. We represent over 140 Black chambers of commerce and small businesses across the nation and are founded on 5 pillars of service: advocacy, access to capital, contracting, entrepreneurial training, and chamber development. This webinar was crafted in collaboration with our chambers of commerce, providing technical assistance and resources to businesses across the U.S. with the Small Business Administration Community Navigator Pilot Program. Thank you for your assistance in developing and sharing this program. Our team at USBC, as well as our 20 Navigator chambers, look forward to being a resource to you and your business as you navigate through this journey. In today's webinar, we will be discussing cyber protection digital strategies for small business owners. Proactive cybersecurity practices are the ultimate investment in today's global markets. But before I introduce today's guest, I encourage you to drop your questions into the chat, and we will address as many as possible at the end of today's webinar. Any questions we don't get a chance to answer during the webinar, we will make sure to get those answered after the webinar. I know that our guest also brought a really great workbook that we will be sending out to all of you that attended today. Our distinguished speaker today is Mr. Reed Torrance, Mr. Torrance Reed, founder and CEO of Cyber Shield Security, LLC. Mr. Reed is a seasoned professional with 19 plus years of experience in security infrastructure, data analysis, software development, and cloud migrations. He brings a versatile and strategic approach to generating revenue, profitability, and shareholder value. As a strong advocate for Black entrepreneurship, Torrance serves as a technical advisor and consultant to startups like Freeman Capital, My Black Receipt, and Empower Global. He is a recipient of the 2018 Black Enterprise Modern Man Award and holds a Bachelor of Science in Management Information and Systems from North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. We are very, very grateful to have you today. It is an honor and pleasure to have you educate us more on everything cybersecurity and AI as well, Mr. Reed. Welcome. Oh, I know. It's the, there you go. Thanks, Torrance.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. I appreciate it. Usually don't realize some of the things you did until someone else starts reading them. So I couldn't have did it better than that. Thanks. So no, happy to be here and just talk about some things that small businesses can do, not only in their business, but in their personal life as well, right? To put their business in a better and secure space. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with y'all. All right, so there's no such thing as a small business. I want to start by saying that. There is no such thing as a small business. To hackers. There is a such thing as a small business in regards to amount of team members, budget, profitability, compliance, you have to add, et cetera, et cetera. But according to hackers, there's no such thing as a small business. We all use the same internet, the same software, and the same systems. So today I want to talk to you about myself, of course, because I think I probably should introduce myself, maybe. I'll give you a couple of cyber stats. Then we'll run through the 5 W's with 4 W's and an H. I don't know how the H snuck in there on the end. I thought it used to be 5 W's. And what it means to actually hear and listen to your team members. And then what you can do for yourself to be more secure and how that can permeate through your business. So I'm the CEO and founder of Cyber Shield Security. So we are a cybersecurity as a service and consulting platform for startups, small businesses, and nonprofits. being a founder myself, I am very well aware of the issues and problems that affect small businesses that pertain to IT security and cybersecurity and just maintaining a secure business. So I often think if you know a little bit about the speaker, you might pay attention a little bit more. So as Tiffany said, I have about 19 or 20 years of experience in both sectors. I've worked for a handful of government agencies as a contractor, as well as private entities. I've built some of the applications you probably pay your taxes on, and I maybe have built some of the features on some of the apps on your phone. The main thing that I built that also lends to why we're here is about 7 years ago, I built an online community by the name of HBC Wall Street. We had an event and some individuals from Russia actually hacked into our group meet that had a couple thousand people in it. So the best startups come from a problem that the founder has. And so I had a problem and I didn't even realize I was getting the startup when I started. I was getting into cyber in that manner when I started fixing it. So as Tiffany mentioned, Diddy, Puffy, Sean Combs, whatever you know him by, he recently released a e-commerce platform. I was actually the first IT director for that platform. I was handled much of the building and technology and team recruitment and of course the security. So I'm happy that that's been launched and off of the ground and on its way out to the people. I have 3 kids and my favorite thing to do in life is to tickle them. I tickle them all every single day, at least some point, once a day, every day, every day, every day. I went to A&T, #1 HBCU in the country. I don't even really need to say anything else. And I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. Most people say I shouldn't be, but I still am. So as I stated, I've built many, many things. Some of these you may be familiar with, some of them you may not. Some of these are small, some of them are big, some of them adhere to government regulations. Some are in industries that don't even have regulations as of yet. They all needed the same thing, cybersecurity, at some point or another. And what I've made it my personal mission to do is to get everyone to understand that they need cybersecurity in the beginning. So I am here to basically speak to you about many of the things that I did in securing these entities. Some of them were built and came to me. Some of them I built with my own hands. Some of them I own. Some of them I have a stake in. Either way, I don't believe that you in 2023 can have an online business and not take cybersecurity serious, just as serious as you would marketing and hiring team members and budgeting and anything else that is usually part of the curriculum when you attend any kind of small business development group, cohort, or entrepreneurship program, right? Like cyber is often left out. So I've made it my mission to make sure it's included. So why are you here? I know why I'm here. I love cybersecurity, but why are you here? Usually between building your company, maintaining your customers, being a nice person doing it all, and actually trying to make money, which is why you started it, unless you have a nonprofit. There are even for-profit nonprofits. So in the midst of all of that, it's very hard to focus on what I deem as one of the important pillars of your business, which is cybersecurity. You just can't focus on it. You don't have the attention, you don't have the resources, and you don't have the money. And according to DigitalOcean, who is a very strong GoDaddy competitor, if you all are familiar with GoDaddy, DigitalOcean is a competitor of theirs. And according to them, lack of time and focus is why 53% of the 73,000 small businesses that they surveyed said they would think their business is not secure, right? Most of us don't have time to eat right, let alone make sure that something that we're building on the side is secure. Because you don't don't have any time and money or at a disadvantage. It's also not unknown to hackers that you're a small business. You don't have time and money. If you put those two together, I'm just going to decide that you're more susceptible to me attacking you. I know you don't have the infrastructure. I know you're a small business. I know you probably have log in with Google 40 different times to now build your business, and you're using 35 different applications. There's zero way you know the security of all of those applications. As long as they keep working so you can keep sending your payroll out, you're not going to worry about it, right? They know you don't have time or the resources to do what I just said. There's going to be a hole in your business's infrastructure. I know that. I just have to decide, do I have the motivation, energy to want to try to find that hole? But I know it's one there. So a lot of people, as I said, think about cybersecurity in a manner of, I'll do it in the future, right? I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, well, I'm gonna just get my business popping and then I'm gonna get my cybersecurity together. And I just put my hands in my head because I know they're gonna have to pay me more at that point, realistically. Like they're literally gonna have to pay me more. Because as you grow and scale, you need different levels of cybersecurity. You need different levels and triggers of safety mechanisms that not only prevent things from happening, you need different levels of notifications, not to mention the remediation. The notification you get when there is an attempted login to your Stripe account when you have 4 employees should be a totally different notification that you receive when you have 40 employees. Right? So you need it now because you want it there when you scale. And for anybody that's worked in corporate America, good luck changing the culture of a startup that's been ever shifting for the last 3 years already, right? So a foundational footing of cyber is important. And I have some numbers that explain why, right? 88%, very high number. I mean, we all know if you spend $88, you might as well just go ahead and throw that other $12 in the trash can. It's gone. 88 is 100. This is the number of startups that do nothing, do absolutely, literally nothing after they are attacked. I can't tell you how many people are on my email list because they reached out to me because something happened. We get a plan together. They don't do it. And next year they reach out again. Well, they have a problem now. They're going to pay more, right? You don't call Geico to get car insurance. Car accident happens. You need to think in that preventative manner with cyber. And doing nothing is definitely not preventative. But I was actually shocked by this number. I'm not shocked by many of the cyber numbers, but this one was really, really shocking to me. I mean, that's literally 100%. And it's because of the previous slide. They think they don't need cyber protection yet. But as I'll explain to you later, I can get into your infrastructure and sit there for 5 years until it finally makes sense for me to care about how much money you're moving back and forth each month, because it didn't when you had 5 people. Right? Like I just said, it's not a breakup. I'm not hacking into your system and going away. Right? You can't just go and cry and then hopefully go out on the night on the town with your homegirls and get over it. Like, we're not breaking up when I hack into your system. I'm going to stay there. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to analyze that Tiffany, the new girl, doesn't understand the process for submitting procurement requests. And she keeps sending the wrong form. Well, I'm going to doctor up this form and I'm going to send it back to Warren. He's going to pay it. He's got a million things to do. He's used to the form coming from Tiffany. It looks like the other form. Hacker gets the money. You guys never see it again. That simple. That could happen in 5 days or that could happen in 5 months. But if I hack into your system, I'm just, right? It's not like TV. I don't want to sit there with a black screen and hack into it and see the command line and make a bunch of stuff roll down the screen really quickly. That's not what happens at all. I'm your system to observe your behavior.
Okay, that point is really serious. I'm glad you just broke down, because I personally, the average person, they understand that. I don't think the average person understands they're being watched for a while before a hack could actually, or a hack does actually happen. That was good information for me.
So there's an agency, and I won't tell you the state or the agency. I'll just tell you that they are responsible for a budget of maybe $5 million and dispersing that budget to about 72 other agencies monthly. The scenario that I just spoke to is actually what happened. And they had to lay off people. They had to some of the orgs had to shut down. I mean, they were scrambling. I mean, can you imagine a nonprofit that's already scrambling to start scrambling more on top of the mountain that they got to the top of to even raise those funds to begin with, right? So again, proactive is the way to go. Proactive is the way to go. So we're all at home. I mean, some of you may be in the car, some of you might be in the parking lot on lunch, I don't know, but we're all at home, right? The hackers know that too. Since COVID started, there was a 600% increase in cybercrime. Why does that correlate? Just why? I'm at home now. Why are you trying to hack into me? I'm not at work. Like, well, guess what? You're accessing your job's resources and data and information from your house. So you are at work, according to the internet. According to the actual physical hardware in your house, you're at home. Your internet resources at home don't have the capability to be as strong as the internet at your job. For one, you don't have the budget. You don't have the budget to run cable for your house like a 6-story building does at work. So you can't make your home as secure. If you're a cybersecurity engineer, you probably can, because you can hack into your Verizon router and set it up that way. My point is, hackers knew you're going to be at home doing the same stuff, sending payroll, sending procurements, sending requests to the government, sending passwords in the bodies of emails, texting people the licensing codes to software you just downloaded. They know you're going to be at home doing all of this. You're in at work now doing it. And I know your system is weaker at home. And the world was at home. And so this made it easier, right? It's easier for me if I already know the environment you're in, right? And guess what? I wish I could see all of y'all to see how many of y'all would not put your hand down if I asked you how many of y'all changed the password on the back of your router that gives you internet at your house. You just let them take it out of the box and connect all 16 devices in your house to that same password that was generated with an algorithm at the manufacturer's warehouse. So if I really think about it, let's see. If I know what region of the country you stay in, I actual service provider. Like if I know you stay in Michigan, I think Comcast is in Michigan. Well, I know Comcast distributes Samsung routers. I know the model. And then there you go. I just walk down the line and maybe I can figure out your address, right? It's all connected. Your house is less secure. And as y'all could hear, I don't even have to have a lot of information. All I have to know is what state you live in, maybe. And I can find out what version your router is running and what kind it is, of course. The team has left the building. Your internet at home is not the equivalent of your internet in the building. It's never going to be, right? Unless you just are into security engineering. And if you were, you probably wouldn't be on this webinar. One that I absolutely hate, because this one usually hits home, because it's real tears on the other side of the phone when someone tells you, my business that I've been building for 5 years, that I ultimately got $200,000 invested into, I have to shut it down so that they don't personally come after me now. All because she just signed up for Stripe and connected it to her website and just went out the door. Didn't change, not zero settings in her Stripe account. And they figured out a way to get into her system from her website. Now, I probably have a story for all of these slides. I didn't even realize it. But her store was doing $300 volume a month. Now, by the time she reached out to me, the hackers had already taken maybe like $40,000 out of her account. By the time I got it to stop, it was at like 95 or 97. Now, the reason that's important is that's 97 real $1,000. I don't care if you're doing $300 a month volume on your store. What the hacker did was figure out a way to steal her Stripe codes from her website, then use their computer. They were in Iran. They used their computer. They wrote 2 lines of code that was maybe 25 words. They connected it to an Excel sheet they had of stolen credit card numbers. They made a new customer and placed a new order on her Stripe account every 4 seconds for 9 days. It was almost 52,000 transactions for 50 cents each. It ended up literally being almost 40-something thousand dollars. The reason it's beyond terrible is several things were happening. One, the bank she had said, we're not liable for any other losses prior to when you realized it was happening. So through my investigation, we realized it had been happening for a day before she engaged me. So just off the break, you're out of $24,000. We don't even know your other losses. We don't know anything yet. Just the money that took from you on Friday, just you can throw that in the trash. You're not getting that back, said your bank. Now, she might have a small regional bank. I don't, I'm not going to divulge the state she was in, but man, that was a crushing blow at the beginning. Right? And so there's a fiduciary in the middle. There's your website, Stripe, and the bank. The bank is a real bank. That means real reconciliations, real transfers, real things in progress. The bank don't care if somebody hack into your Stripe account and you try to shut it down if it's currently $32,000 in fraudulent transactions en route. That's real money en route to a real bank. You got hacked. That's on you, right? And so it just keeps getting worse. The hacker, so I'm doing forensics. I have her Stripe account as it's happening. I'm figuring out things. I have computers. I'm testing things. I'm putting in stop gaps, right? I'm turning off a credit card whenever he created, or I'm trying things. And so I finally get it to stop. Now we have to figure out how she's going to get her money back. So the natural thing to do is a chargeback. So a chargeback happens when, let's say my card gets stolen and you have, right? You have, I don't know, TiffanySweaters.com. If John Doe hacker uses my card on TiffanySweaters.com and orders $10,000 worth of sweaters, Stripe is not going to engage the owner of TiffanySweaters.com and say, hey, what happened? Let's research this. They're going to say a real person's credit card information got stolen and used. We're going to give them their money back, and then we'll get this together. So mind you, I started this story with saying, store did $300 a month in volume. She thought she wasn't big enough to care about cyber. The hacker figured out a way to reverse the chargeback request that she was making for every transaction, ultimately doubling the amount of money that they took from her. And so I had to bow out at some point, right? She had to get a lawyer involved. She had to get the police involved. She had to get the local FBI involved. And I had done my part. I stopped the bleeding, right? And then she had a report of exactly what had happened. But her business does not exist anymore. She had to hire me to deal with that at that moment. She also had to turn her part-time assistant immediately into full-time so that her assistant could help me as I did this, because she's on the phone with the bank. She's on the phone with Stripe. She can't go through Stripe and look at its log files and see where people were logging in and send me Excel sheets. She had to hire someone to deal with this, which she had to pay her, right? So the moral of that story is, if you use a payment service, please set up security. This is the actual email. I have the name of the company blurred out. As you see here highlighted, they told her they could get rid of $15,000 of the $44,602. Imagine yesterday you did $312 in your store where you sell things at. And it's not really that big of a deal to me. I just have a little store, right? I only do $300. She had a bigger component of her business that got over her attention. So imagine yesterday you just did $300. Tomorrow morning you owe Stripe $30,000. They don't go away. You don't put in a request. It's not like a speeding ticket. You can't get it adjudicated or request that it leaves. Like, she now owes Stripe $30,000. That's why they ask for your social security number when you create the account. I'm waiting for her to reach back out to me to help her secure whatever she does next, because I know she's going to keep going because she loved it. She lived it. She breathed it. But I also had to listen to her weep as she had to decide to shut it down. Right? Like that's not a status, right? Like that's real life. So don't go bankrupt. Have some cyber in place. And what I would tell everyone is, even if you don't get cybersecurity from me, get it from someone. You need it. It's not luxury. It's a necessity. The chain. The chain is usually a collection of similar things weaved together. If your team members are moving cohesively, weave together as a chain, there will be no breaks. Sadly, that's usually not the case when you're talking about a small company. When you're talking about a small company, 95% of the things that happen because of people, not because of a cool system failed or a notification didn't fire off. It's because Tiffany didn't read the email and saw a sale for some shoes and thought she was getting a coupon to her work email for a place she don't even have an account yet, and she clicked on it. And now the whole company's infected. I'm gonna rewind back what I said. She clicked on an email to a place she don't even have an account at from her work email. I've gotten so many Geek Squad emails in the last 3 weeks. I've never even stepped in front of the Geek Squad counter, but apparently my computer is ready for the last 3 years. Most people are gonna click that track button because it looks like a Geek Squad email. You only as strong as your weakest team member or your most least educated team member, however that works for you. If you don't know to think before you click, and that one click could destroy the entire existence of your company, then you're making your company's chain weaker, right? So you have to think before you click, because all it takes is one click. Okay, where are we? So how can you all prevent yourselves from becoming a statistic? I have some ways that can help you and a couple of things to think about, right? Because your thought process is what you can do the most, right? Everybody I would say, let's deploy this, let's install that. Let's make sure we have these licenses. Let's scan this. Let's lock these people out of that. Let's make sure Tiffany can't use Skype on her work machine. Let's get to it. None of that matters if your entire team still think the way they think about cybersecurity. You just had to go order licenses and install some cool software, and people still going to maneuver through it the same way they were the other software. You're in the same space and you just spent some money. So you have to change people's thought. Of course, starts with your thought process. That means listening. I'm listening, but I don't hear you. And if anybody on the call has teenagers, y'all know exactly what I mean, because I can talk to my daughter for like 20 minutes and she will literally only repeat the absolute last thing I said within the last 30 seconds of the whole 20-minute conversation. So I'm trying to get her to understand you have to actually hear people and not listen to them talk. You have to actually hear what they're saying, right? And that means if you are in a space of influence and a stakeholder of a business's cybersecurity, what are they saying about what they think about putting things in place? Just because you want to roll it out to everybody's iPhone, don't mean that's the best thing to do, right? What is your team saying? Because if you listen to their ideas about implementation, you'll probably hear two things: how they move through it, what they think is an impediment, or you'll hear the lack of cyber that they're applying to it, right? And again, you have to listen. What I just explained would basically create a safe space for thought and conversation, which is what you need when you're treating cyber like anything else you would treat as something you're going to introduce into your culture. We all go through the same thought process and space mentally. When you're implementing a new payroll system, or now there's a new process to track your receipts when you're on travel, you go through this same process, right? You listen attentively, you give everyone's idea, you give everyone space for their ideas. You don't drown out anyone. It ultimately all feeds back up to a process, and How much does it cost, etc. You have to think about cybersecurity in that same manner and not as a technical outlier, right? And then you also understand that, you know, those who have been in cyber and been doing it and have helped a lot of individuals secure their businesses and operations, they're probably going to recommend something that works for you. And if you're listening to it and you hear what they're saying, you're more akin to implement it. Okay. So I think it's the 5 W's, or maybe 4 W's and an H. But I think just saying 5 W's is a habit. Who, what, when, where, and how. Team know what type of community members, customers, users, stakeholders that you support. Do you know? Do you know? You have to know. You should know, because that will govern how you maneuver through the data. If my business sells gift cards versus my business sells rides to appointments for elderly, I mean, that's FINRA, that's SEC versus HIPAA. My end users, my team members have to know that the way I'm going to secure my credit cards might be a little different than the way I'm securing people's medical records. And then you would just think about the common sense of it. You would think, how do you move through both of those at home? Right? So who are you supporting? Into how your team members think. They have to know. And people often know who buy your products, but who are you really supporting is a different level of depth that may help them move through whatever you introduce. And that's also a catalyst to introduce the cyber that's not there, getting everyone to really understand who you're supporting. What do you support, right? Like I just said, do they know what kind of data do you have? It means what kind of data are you keeping up with, securing, tracking, and archiving, more than likely. Because whether you know it or not, if you're selling stuff on the internet, you actually have a fiduciary and operational duty to keep up with people's data that they insert into your database. So you have to know what you are collecting, because you got to know how much it is, how big it's going to grow over time, where you're going to keep it at. It's securing it differently than the other type of data that business B is collecting. Again, something that's probably glossed over at the top, right? I know what we collect. We collect people's appointment information. Are you really only collecting appointment information though? I have your address. I have your driver's name. I have your nanny's name. She answers the door and lets your kids out because you make appointments for me to pick you up. Now we're in the PII realm. Is it really just appointment information? So you have to think about what kind of data are you collecting, right? Because then you can know what to report as suspicious. And if you know what you're collecting and what mechanisms you're collecting it in, you immediately know when somebody is requesting that data outside of that realm, right? Tiffany should never email me and ask me to send her the PDF of the procurement system. And we use QuickBooks, right? But again, I hacked into Tiffany's email and realized she ain't know that a couple of months ago. So I don't know that this is suspicious. When? How often should you engage in security awareness training? I would at least say quarterly. Yeah. You all know technology changes so rapidly. There's so much stuff deployed. There's so many new things that come out. And for the non-technical, there's another side of something new. That means there's new exploits. There's new things for hackers to break. Just as everyone is now using ChatGPT to create lesson plans and dietary programs, the hackers are also figuring out how to use ChatGPT to break into your site while doing less work and spending less time doing it, right? So you're going to have to stay abreast. There'll be something new and cool that come out next year. And ChatGPT, all the articles will be, is ChatGPT dead in the water, right? Like there'll be something new that comes out next year. So you have to constantly stay abreast of what's going on. What is the new phishing scheme? And so that's just a simple training program that's delivered via cool and funny online videos that are set up so you can't click through them. Because I know what most of y'all do. I probably just hit click, 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 click until you get to the end, answer the little 3 questions, and download your certificate. Or maybe that's what I do. But the training is usually fun. If it's not fun, you're not going to do it. Right? Where's your stuff at? Where are your security policies? Where are your procedures? Where is the document that explains to someone how to securely and safely send a PDF that has a download of our entire constituent and donor database for the last 10 years? Like, where's that at? Because if you just send that to me in an Excel sheet, I'm personally not going to open it. I'm going to delete it. Right? But if your team members don't know where your policies and procedures at, that's their claim to why they didn't know how to do it. Them apologizing for not knowing how to do it properly still doesn't skirt the fact that somebody now hacked into your system and is holding the data on every single person who worked here hard drive hostage until you pay them. And if you don't pay them, they just release it on the internet. This is my favorite one because this never exists. And I don't even know why it's my favorite one because this replaced my other W. As y'all can hear, I'm kind of messed up about that. Does your team know how you currently plan to respond to a cyber attack? Let's say you got 4 people on your team. You're a remote team. You're currently in Jamaica, right? You're an entrepreneur. You probably got your computer with you or your iPad, even if it's not your work computer. You access your work stuff on your personal iPad. One of your team members in the United States, the other one is currently in the air, and one of them is en route somewhere on a train. Y'all are spread out. What happens if your machine gets stolen? You, the leader, is used to getting emails from you about what they should do next. And now all of a sudden they get emails from you, but you don't have your computer, and you don't know that. There's no way to tell anybody anything, right? Like emergency preparedness is really what I'm speaking to. Like how that's a disaster. Someone has hacked into your systems. How are you going to respond to it? My team knows that if you get a text message from me asking you to do some work on one of our systems, it's bogus. Official team communications come through X. Like everybody on my team know that. And because we get a lot of emails from our customers, we don't do teamwork in the emails. So if I email them and ask them to do some work, they're really not going to do it. How are we going to respond to that? They know that they should immediately forward that to a spam box that we have set up for what people think is spam. And then on next morning's call, we all evaluate whether it's spam or not. That's the how. My team knows that, right? And it don't got to be an elite disaster recovery plan or, oh my God, it's tech Armageddon, but you need to have something in place that says, what am I going to do? None of us can use our machines because they've been hacked. Or what am I going to do if someone's taken over Tiffany's phone? And her phone is what everybody uses to get the 2-factor code to sign in PayPal. We got to pay vendors or speakers at the in-person events, right? You have to have a plan in place. What can I do about my email security? How do I get the email? Okay. Yeah, I guess I left off a slide. All right. I didn't have to tell y'all that. So in between here, there was a slide that said, your email is very important. You should do something about it. Then I hit the button and this slide comes up. And so what you can do is set up your DKIM, SPF, and DMARC records. Now, I'm not going to explain to you all what the synonyms are. Just know that the same way your website has an SSL certificate and you can type in HTTPS, right? And then your computer goes to that computer and says, oh, this computer is secure. Bring it back to the screen and show that it had a certificate. Put a lock in the browser. Your email can function the same way. 90% of websites and domains and businesses do not have this set up. And if I have your domain name, I can find out in 2 seconds if you have this set up. Anybody can. Anybody with an internet connection can literally find out, do you have the free default security records set up on your email? These come with every email service provider. Google Workspace, Office 365, Rackspace, Wix, email.com, whoever is actually sending out your emails, you have the capability to turn this on. It costs $0 to activate it. The reason this is important, let's go back to scenario with the PDF and the procurement. There's a such thing as a man in the middle attack. I can't not if I hack into your system and your email security is not that great, I can set up my email so that I receive all your emails, extract the data, and then send it off to said recipient. You or said recipient never know that I got the email. So again, I can sit there and collect data, right? If I sit there and collect enough data, okay, and there's one email. All right, there's his birthday. Oh, another email, an address. Oh, another email. Where he going out of town? And just collect information. I can sit in your email and then, okay, oh, that's the email that they use to log into Wells Fargo. Okay, let me see if I can get Tiffany, who don't know anything, to give me the password to the finance email, right? You have to turn this on. Right? Like it's, again, I do it or someone else do it. I'll walk you through doing it at no cost. Like this is free. This is free. You should turn it on for free. I'll walk you through it or I'll send you a PDF. But there's no way you should have a business in today's world on the internet and don't have these records turned on, because you are setting yourself up just for, I mean, it's basically like having an iPhone and not having a passcode on. Like people lose their phones every minute of the day. You could easily walk into a 7-Eleven, bend down to tie your shoe and leave your phone on the floor. A peace of mind, some peace of mind that you have is that my phone's locked, at least until I disable it or find my or whatever. Imagine losing your phone and it was no passcode on. That's basically what you're doing when you send an email every day without these records turned on. The third time is usually a charm. I don't know where that came from. I just put it up here because I had 3 on the slide and that sounded good. Train people. Like I said earlier, you have to do continuous training. Whether that's in-person trainings, we do phishing simulations. Some of our customers actually have us send out bogus emails to them to see who fails. And then once people fail, I send them a GIF of somebody pointing at them and making fun of them. No, I don't do that a lot. We send them trainings that basically say, you failed. You clicked on this. You don't know this. Go ahead and take this training, buddy. Right? You have to continuously train people. Talk. You have to talk about it. One thing I'm seeing a gap in is the understanding level of ChatGPT at a lot of places. And when I say that, I mean the understanding level is who understands it. If it's 5 of y'all on a team, y'all should know that, okay, John knows about ChatGPT and Tiffany knows a little bit about backups and Mike know about passwords. The rest of us know nothing, right? Talk amongst yourselves, because those conversations will either foster investigation or creativity or just somebody wanting to know something. And then you have to test, right? As your company gets bigger, you don't have to do it as a small entity. As your company gets bigger and you build, as you're building features, as you're deploying utilities into the things that already exist, as you're rolling out products, you have to test that the new onboarding, the new process, the new way people upload documents. Every time your business grows, you have to test whether or not you created another hole or vulnerability, right? So just like everything else, cyber is ever going. It doesn't go away, right? Because your business is growing. So earlier I said some of us are remotely while we at home. I don't even know the difference anymore. But it's probably because it's not a difference anymore. I've been in for a while, so I've worked remotely for a longer time than more people. Like before the world accepted it, most of the places I worked at were already doing it. So I've been at home for a while. But there's no separation anymore, right? Y'all remember when people had 2 cell phones? Actually had to have 2 phones with them? That was crazy. If you was young, you thought somebody who had 2 phones was cool because you knew that they was important, right? But now it just means you really stressed out because you got a lot of work to do and you ain't ever really not at work. But there's no separation. There is no, let me sign into my job. I mean, you're probably signing into your job from your house computer, right? Like you're accessing your work's SharePoint from your home internet, right? You're forwarding a work-related email from your personal email, from your personal iPhone. There is no separation. And the way that these corporations and companies and the government have worked together to make it seamless, they don't want it to be separated anymore, right? Like in the DC area over the last decade, a lot of things have lost their separation appeal. A lot of times that was the appeal. Like, this is government, it's secure, it's separated, it's different, it's going across a different wire. Well, as life just became this mashup of, are you at work, or are you at home? It didn't matter. So I explained that to say, you have to think about the next thing that you can do. The absolute next thing that this call can do is think about how they're currently maneuvering through their personal cyber life. That will 100% carry over to your desk or to your team Zoom calls, etc. Right? And what I mean by that is somebody on this actually text passwords to people, right? Hey, yo, I need you to check this for me. Can you sign into this? Username and password via text. Bang, send. That's crazy, first of all, to me, but everybody's not in cyber. But the fact that you could text somebody a password that controls the payroll for like 82 people to their phone that you don't even know if it's currently lost already, you're assuming that they received it. You just sent the key to your business. Because if you don't got no companies, I mean, if you don't got no team members and people helping you, you don't got no business. So in essence, if I get to your payroll, I can shut your business down. Most people also don't turn this off.
Right.
This is a computer. It's a computer in your hand with a phone application on it. If I was in a room, I guarantee you 85% of the people there would say, I haven't turned this off in a week, a month, a year. It's a computer. It has an IP address. You wouldn't not turn off your desktop computer. You wouldn't not have antivirus on your desktop computer, right? You have to move through it the same way you move. It's a computing device. The screen just smaller. The last point I'll make, and then I'll answer questions if any, is it's your thought process. Thought process is everything. Because your thought process is why you ultimately going to get buy-in from controls the budget for you to deploy the new scanning system you want. Thought process is why you're going to get the team member who's been working here for 25 years and don't understand why we're setting the computer so that you don't have to hit Control Alt Delete and it locks automatically when you leave, and it's not going to stay open forever. Because I had someone who getting that person to understand that this is for the better of the company, right? It's your thought process that's going to get your customers to understand that we're no longer going to let you send PDF documents to us that contain PII. We've deployed a new secure upload platform. Oh man, this is more work. Well, we're trying to secure your data, right? So how you think about cyber literally govern action that you have for them, whether that's your vendors, your team members, your IT department, your customers, your kids, your parents, everybody. So think about it in a manner that is conducive to the fact that it's not just me. My personal mantra is from me to we. And that's basically another way of saying, without monetary, group economics. If you move consciously in a manner and you are part of a collective group and everybody's moving in a manner, then y'all are collectively moving in that manner. From me to we. If I move proper through cyber, adopts this thinking, then we will by default be moving through cyber properly as a group, right? So that's why I always say your thought process is paramount. Your budget is good. Yeah, sending the higher ups Excel sheets explaining, what's the actual monetary value in deploying this software, et cetera, et cetera. All that's great. But your actual thought process will then be the pillar for your actions. And your actions have to change first before you get your team or your customers' actions to change. So I think that was the last slide. Yes, that was the last slide.
Mr. Torrance Reed, I went through a whole gamut of emotions listening to your presentation. And I had to calm myself, and I'm like, I'm getting anxiety. No, here's why I thought it was so important. Our team thought it was so important for you to come on and share this information in the way that you shared this information, because from startups all the way to, like you said, businesses that have been around, people have been working for their company for 45 years. At this time in history, there's a lot of words being thrown around, and some people have got it on lockdown. They get it. They're secured. They don't talk about it much, though. It's just something they do. For the rest of us, right, out there, be a small business owner, be an entrepreneur, but these are the conversations that really need to be had, right? And so that's why USBC thought it very important to have you, your company, come in and speak to our outreach, to our businesses. I know that you supplied us with an excellent workbook that we will be sending out to all registrants of this webinar.
Yep.
I'm going to look in the chat to see if there's been any questions. What are the current top cybersecurity threats that business should be most concerned about?
Phishing. 85% of hacks start within an email. And that is because if you think about it, there's not a facet of your life that you can unattach from email. Every piece of software at work has a username or login email, right? You pay your mortgage with an email. You register your kids for camp with an email, right? We set this webinar up using email. There isn't a facet or moment of your life that you can escape from, that you can separate from email, right? Again, hackers know that. So they also know that that's where you live at the most. It's literally where the highest percent of activity in any application happens for every business inside your email. And so you start with those points, right? 85% again of hacks start within email. And that's phishing, that's malware, that's malicious links. And so one thing I'll say to that is
stop clicking on everything. Yeah. Stop clicking.
Two things people don't know, right? There's a caret beside the from. There's a drop down on the from email in your email. If you click the little button, it'll show you where it came from, what time it came from, and what domain it came from. If that information looks fishy, you know the email is bogus. The other thing that most people just, if you don't know, you don't know. If you're using a computer and you hover your mouse over any URL, in the bottom left-hand corner, it will show you where you are about to click it. So if you got that Geek Squad email and you hover over track my package, and then at the bottom it says a whole bunch of stuff that don't say Geek Squad, then there's your answer. Hit delete, right? Email. Top threats are email security. And that, again, is why I spoke to those records, because there also isn't a facet of your business that don't feed back to your email, your payroll system, your hiring system, your procurement system, your scheduling system, the webinar system. Everything is connected to your email, right? You kind of love to hate email. So educating yourself on phishing campaigns, what to avoid, how to understand when John Doe is calling you, trying to fish, right? Trying to get information out of you based on publicly available information, right? Say, for instance, I know what high school you went to. I can see on LinkedIn you are the executive assistant to the director, and I see that you're really into multimedia. Well, I have a bogus credit card, and I'm hacked into your email system. And I know you don't know the processes. So I'm going to send you an email that says, hey, this is director. I need these 3 TVs ordered and sent to XYZ space, right? Or might call you and say, hey, I'm calling from, I'm calling from Tech Ops, and we're ordering some monitors, and you're the person who signs off on it. Can you give me a purchase code? they fished that information. They found it on your LinkedIn and some bogus emails and a TikTok thing that you put up that shouldn't have the barcode of a computer in your office on, right? Like they fished, they put information together and then threw the hook out so you can be the rest of it and provide them what they need. That's usually done via email. Because if I make the email pretty and it looks normally, right? Because Facebook reset email just says, hey, this is Facebook. You requested a reset. A button in the middle that says reset. That's very easy to duplicate. So short answer is phishing. It's probably the top. Email and phishing is probably what I would focus on if you were going to start somewhere and try to become more secure.
Mr. Reed, I do not want to stop. I want to know that I have collected 3 more questions, but alas, we are out of time and I am strict on time. So I'm going to close out right now. But what I want to say, first of all, is thank you. Thank you for being so candid. Thank you for being so transparent. Thank you for being so honest. We are going to, again, send out the workbook you have graciously shared for our registrants of this webinar. I'm also going to link the questions within the email that we're sending and the answers, because I'll have a conversation with you. We'll get those answers. So I want to just say to all our viewers today, thank you for attending Conducting Business in the Tech Age. It's serious business. This was through our work with the SBA Community Navigator Program, funded in part through a grant with the U.S. Small Business Administration. A tremendous thank you to our guests, Mr. Torrance Reed, founder and CEO of Cybersecurity LLC, our Community Navigator Chambers for advocating for Black businesses, and to you, our viewers, for sharing the discussion. As always, we like to remind you, if your firm is looking to increase its revenue opportunities, USBC by Black is the first Black certification program with a business directory, providing businesses that certify specific access to private and public procurement opportunities, highlights, and other benefits. This online program can help prepare you for the contracting space as a documents preparation guide. And it is highly, highly secure. Certified today by visiting chambers.org/certification. Register online today at www.usblackchambers.org/webinars for our upcoming webinars. And for more events like these regularly, please visit and register all of our webinars. We have them monthly and they go across the board